So as mainstream comic books continues to crash and burn, companies like Marvel are faced with some difficult decisions. They're doing what companies like that will do when the chips are down too. They're pausing or discontinuing certain comic book runs. They're letting certain people go. And it's really interesting to see who those folks are, what they've done in the past, and how they led to this very moment. See, there's a lot of people out there that are blaming current social situations for what transpired. But let me tell you, when pros act like what you see in front of you, and then they get let go, who exactly caused that? Is it the customers that are saying, hey, I don't want to put my money into it? Or is it the pro that said, hey, I don't need you in the beginning? So hey there. So today we return to that wonderful world of comic books. In this world, it gets more interesting by the second. Now, before we get into this, let me say two things here. You like this content, you enjoyed the channel, consider subscribing to it and checking out the links in the description. Also, I know that there are a lot of people that are going through a difficult time right now. I wish you the best on that. And if you find you can't get basic necessities, we're talking about canned goods, we're talking about toilet paper, things like that, hit people up, including myself. Now, I cannot pay your rent. I can't pay your car insurance and on. I really wish I was there and could do that for anybody. But I can try to help somewhat because you know what? You and I were in this together. And from my family to your family, we appreciate you all. So if you've missed out on what's going on in the comic book industry, let me first congratulate you on your trip to Mars. I'm sure it was a lovely, lovely trip. No, I'm just kidding there. Now, what's happened in the comic book industry is pretty simple. There is no more distribution here. You see this mentioned in this article from Bounding Into Comics. Diamond Comics, the only distributor of comic books, they've shut their doors and everything, it came to a screeching halt. Diamond, to note, is having massive issues because of everything behind the scenes, too. At first, they stopped taking new products as a result of everything going on. Then they start making staff redundant, meaning if you can do 2 jobs with one person, well, have them do it because we can't afford to keep people around. On top of that, you see massive layoffs coming out of Diamond, meaning there's nothing left to distribute comics, even if you wanted to start distributing right away. All of that speaks to the health or the lack thereof in this industry too, because we're talking about an industry that has been evaluated at over $1 billion, and yet things they can't shut down for 1 week, let alone months. Otherwise, everything, it falls apart. Does that sound healthy? Because it doesn't to me. Now, all of this, of course, has led to issues for all comic companies out there. But you see moves that are very, very desperate coming out of Marvel, coming out of DC. And here's kind of a breakdown on some of the situations for both of them. So the current situation has seen many comic book companies cease printing and publication and put projects on hold. DC Comics has reportedly moved some creators onto a new Batman black and white digital comic, but that is only a handful. Marvel initially stopped work on 15 to 20% of its titles, mostly new launches and those tied with movie delays such as Black Widow and Taskmaster. Also, to add to that too, they shut down comics that they knew would not be viable in a limited commodity aspect, ones that, well, you need the whole market to sell just 10,000 of, which is not good anyhow. And now we are hearing that there are 10 to 15% more titles that are suffering a similar order and have been affected at more ongoing titles. So it's not just new titles that are being delayed now. We're talking about titles that are already out there that are going to be shut down. You're talking 25 to 35% of all Marvel products have been stopped here. Now, they were told that certain X-Men titles were already far ahead as far as the advanced Dawn of X scheduling, but books like Deadpool, currently from Kelly Thompson, and have also been included. Now, see, people like Kelly Thompson, of course, are going to be out there spinning that this stuff, it's happening because of current social situations. They didn't have anything to do with it. And yet here's Kelly Thompson putting out a 3-part tweet, lecturing people and on. It baffles me that some fans can't understand that comic creators aren't going to jump on board when you celebrate them if you're on other creators at the same time. There are a lot of relationships here you're not privy to, and you're not endearing yourself to anyone by trying to pit creators against one another. And even if there isn't a relationship that you're unaware of, it would still be unprofessional, unwise, and straight up tacky to behave that way. The industry is small. It's tightly knit and mostly loved community of creators. These subtweets brought to you by any number of things that constantly happen. You know, because of course, saying you don't like a comic book, that's attacking, so you need to know your place. So here's another one aimed at people that criticize the comic book industry because how dare you, in a conversation between Kelly Thompson and Michelle Perez. Now, if you don't know about Michelle Perez, this is someone that Image's hierarchy, their CCO, actually stamped off on, saying that this behavior was A-okay. So they're talking about diversity in comics and him doing a 30-minute video about a comic book circular featuring an article of theirs. They talk about his history because of this. Then they talk about him being a war veteran, and of course that meaning he's a crypto-fascist, saying that all veterans are hidden Nazis. I mean, wow, what a great statement to endorse the industry. Then they wish demise on him, saying that unfortunately an IED didn't blow him up. An Image, again, stamped off on this. So here's that person, Michelle Perez, along with Kelly Thompson, taking shots at people like myself because, oh my God, we're talking about the industry and how it's falling apart. So Michelle Perez starts saying, I feel like the funniest thing about the smug D-head Anons is that if they know anything about publishing right now, that's butchered. This person is a comic writer, by the way. People who make children's books and comics are making a killing right now. You see this smugness here. You know, we're making money hand over fist. You don't know anything about it. Kelly Thompson comes in, oh yeah, the lack of knowledge these people have about publishing is astounding. It's truly laughable. Look, man, I read a Wikipedia article. Let me tell you why, and I alone can fix the direct marketing system. Huh. And you wonder why things are falling apart. I mean, that industry, it got bad enough that basically they would label anyone that criticized anything they do as quote-unquote comicsgate. I got labeled that because I would talk about stock reports. That somehow made me an ist and a phobe. And then they decided to do rallying cries to attack under the auspices of buzzwords. Here's an article discussing that. See, they decided to say comics are for everyone. Sounds nice, right? But what they were really doing was trying to push out anyone that talked about their behavior, labeling any critic as a hate group, saying, hey, we're here for anyone and anything you have to say. It's not about our behavior. It's because you hate this or you hate that, not because you hate the way we act or the way that we interact. Other comic book professionals are named in that article too. Some I feel sorry for, like Jim Zub. I actually like what he does. He doesn't go after consumers either. But then you have people like Patrick Zurcher. Now, I've had my own personal interactions with Patrick Zurcher. I've done videos talking about his behavior. At one time, he was called alt, you know the rest of that statement, because he unblocked people. And 3 months later, he was calling people that himself while blocking all those people again. When you mention stuff like that, of course, he and other people out there you've talked about will try to dogpile. People like Richard Pace, a Kickstarter scammer, a guy who has not delivered a project in 5 years, along with another Kickstarter scammer who is also a quote-unquote professional. And when you note to these folks that they actually are a disappointment because they're supposed to be even-tempered, they're supposed to make you want to buy, and you see them as the greatest comic book disappointments there, yeah, you're writing their A more than Roy Rogers wrote Trigger. You're insane. All of that stuff is false statements. You're nothing short of demented. You're stalker material. You're terrible. You're crazy. And you wonder why the industry falls apart. This is a guy that wished that another artist would lose his hands, would have them chopped off, had wished that someone else would be shot by a toddler. And then when people mention customer service, yeah, that's apparently a dog whistle. You can see this listed in here, where he's talking about are comic pros more negative than comic fans? Someone mentions there's no customer service, and they say, why is every Comicsgate guy? So this person is a guy, this person is now Comicsgate. Why are they obsessed with customer service? They want pros to warm up to them, and yet the insults I've seen aimed at people I've worked with, and myself, if a waitress served you a meal you didn't like, would you call her A? Yeah. They tell you in this stuff, too, they're not customer service. They're writers. They're not answerable to you. And yet, as everything falls apart, they're freelancers and they need your money. See, that's the thing that strikes me about articles like this. I feel bad for comic book shops. I feel bad for certain creators out there. But this game of pretend that certain social situations now cause this, no. It expedited it. But what happened throughout that? These people, they have been running off comic consumers for years. You speak up about what the industry is. You ask people not to call you ists or phobes or N to the A to the Z to the I, and you know what happens. You were told you needed to know your place. They didn't need you, and now you know what they do. Too little, too late, I say. So, as they begin to cancel more and more things, as places like San Diego Comic-Con shut down, and they can't make that freelancer money. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is what it is. But anyway, you tell me what you think about this stuff. So to close, I want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating. You make this stuff possible. Without you, none of it works. So thank you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. These folks, they didn't stop to say that. And you know what? Again, you make these endeavors work. Now, I don't want to monopolize your time, but I do want to thank you. So stay tuned for more videos. Enjoy your time with your family. And again, if there's need out there, make sure that you ask people, including myself. All right. Thank you.